Hi, I'm Denise, and welcome to the very first episode of Denise's Happy Little Trees. So let's get creative and let's have some fun. Hi, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do today is a landscape painting, and this is going to be a very easy landscape painting, one that anyone can do, even if you're a beginner. So let me show you what I have here. I have a 16 by 20 double primed stretched canvas, and what I've done is I've put this medium, this white medium on it very thinly, so you can kind of see it. And that's going to allow the paint to move around once I've applied it. Okay, so I have a 1-inch landscape brush, and let me show you my palette. And we're going to go into some cad yellow. And what I'm going to do is just tap into the cad yellow because we don't want a lot of paint on the brush, very little paint, and it looks like this. Okay, so decide where you want your sun to be, and I'm going to put mine about here. And I'm making little X strokes, very little X strokes, very lightly. As I come out from my sunspot, you're going to go lighter and lighter. And just continue. Decide what kind of shape you want your yellow to be. Doesn't matter. I kind of make a line with a little bubble on top, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever you choose. And bringing it down. Okay, just like that. Little X cross strokes like this. Okay, good. All right, same dirty brush. In this technique, we don't wash the brushes too often. I don't like to wash big brushes like this. So same dirty brush, I'm gonna go into some alizarin crimson. Same thing, gonna tap, only this is a very strong color, so even less paint, okay? So about like this. Very little paint, as you can see on the brush. And actually, I'm gonna tap it on a paper towel because it looks like I have some clumps, so you don't want any clumps. Do that again. Yeah, see, it's a very strong paint. I'm gonna go into the yellow because as we know, yellow and red make an orange. And so a nice little orange in your sky isn't such a bad thing, right? A little X strokes, bringing it up. And it's okay that we have some lines like that. We'll feather it out later. Okay, and in this landscape, we're gonna have sky, a mountain, and a lake. So what I want is I want a little red reflection in my lake. So I'm gonna now this stroke is straight across because as we know, water is level, right? So just kind of put that through. Decide how dark you want your reflection to be. I might just do a little bit more red just to kind of make it show up a little bit on camera. And really brush out those lines. If you see lines in there, just if you keep stroking it, they go away. Okay, same dirty brush. We're going to take our 1-inch brush now, and I'm going to go into some phthalo blue. Okay, tapping. Also pretty strong color, so I'm going to tap into that. I always start, I think it's because I'm left-handed, I always start in the left-hand corner with my X. Oof, pretty dark, pretty straight. Okay, so I want the corners to be very dark because you want to bring your eye to the center. So I'm going to go to the other corner where all the paint is still on the brush. Okay, and then I usually kind of step in the middle. And I leave little white spots because I like to see a little action in the sky. So I don't cover the whole thing with one big blue color. I kind of leave little spots. And again, you can go a little bit into the red because red and blue make a nice lavender color. All right. Okay, and because we said we wanted water here, we're going to make our water. I start at the left. You could start at the right, it doesn't matter. But you're going to start on the edge of the canvas and go in. It's okay if we have little lines. Some of this is going to get covered. So what I'm really trying to do is cover the canvas with paint so we don't have much white left. That was a little dark, but that's going to be covered. And got a little hair that keeps trying to get on there. Okay. And then just bringing it across, kind of blending. I'm going to do this first before I blend the sky. I'm not going to go back into the red when I'm blending. I'm just going to bring it to the edge because if I go in there, it's going to get kind of muddy and dirty. I'd like to keep the red clean and bright. And if I went in there, it would start to look kind of dirty looking. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take a clean 2-inch brush to do my blending. And I start at the top. Actually, we're going to take another clean 2-inch brush because that one's not dirty. Start in the yellow. Start in the yellow. And start blending. Same thing, crisscross. Little figure eights. Really blending. You can push hard on the canvas. Really blending out. I want to blend out those lines. Try to make it as clean, as smooth as possible. This takes a little time. Sometimes I switch hands because my hands get tired. You can kind of do that with big brushes. Right hand's a little stronger. And see, I leave little white spots up there. Leave a little bit. It's not all one color. And I'll bring it down here. Okay. Good. Wiping my brush. Wipe the excess paint off. What we're going to do now is we'll put a little bit of fluffy, nice little fluffy clouds in there. Just nice little clouds floating in the background. But we want our clouds to be kind of subtle and just kind of floating nice and light. So I'm going to show you how I load the brush. I take a fan brush, number 3. I'm going to pull down on one side, turn it over, and pull down again. I just kind of keep doing that, turning it over, pull down, until I think I have enough paint on there. Okay, not too much paint, not too little. You got to kind of figure it out. And start where you want your cloud. I'm going to put my cloud here. And you're going to use the corner of the brush, touching the canvas, and just swirl it around. Make little circular movements. The key here is don't keep the brush still. Just keep moving it. Keep moving it around. Okay. Loading the brush, actually get some blue on there. You're going to have to wipe it off. You don't want to contaminate your white. And sometimes I'll smush it and just kind of little circular movements. It's okay if you get a little blue here because the bottoms of clouds tend to be a little darker anyway. Okay. And wiping the brush. Let's go back into our, so how I clean the paint on the brush off, it's just take a paper towel and just kind of clean it off. Okay, so what you do now to blend out the clouds is take the corner of the brush and you're just going to do little circles again. Now I tend to not touch the tops too much because I like to keep those darker, but you don't have to, you can do whatever. Okay, maybe Maybe we'll put a little bit more white there because it kind of got away from me. Let's see. Okay. All right, well, let's leave that. Key to this technique too is don't fuss too much. Put it down and you can play with it maybe one more time and then after that move on. It's better to just move on. So we're going to start over here. Again, same thing. Smushing the brush, corner of the brush, little circular movements. Keep the brush moving. Try to make them a little bit different. That's hard. We're a little more, it's hard to be random. It's very easy to kind of make the same shapes over and over again. And I tend to do that with my clouds. But if you can try to be a little random and make them a little different, that would be great. It's not easy. Okay. So I think I want to put another little row here. Okay. Wiping my brush. Same thing, corner of the brush, 2-inch brush, blending. I tend to like bring the brush across the bottom because clouds can tend to be a little flat at the bottom, so it kind of gives it that look. And I might just fuss with it one little more and then we'll move on to the mountain. Just want to make a little darker spot right there. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make a mountain, and we're going to mix up some mountain color. It's going to be a little different than most mountain colors. I'm going to take a little bit of phthalo blue, a little bit of alizarin, a little bit of Van Dyke brown, a little bit more alizarin, a little bit of white just to see what I've got here. Good, that's a good color. All right. Okay, I just add a little more red and a little more phthalo blue to darken it just a little. I don't want it too dark. I don't want it too light. Kind of like a value of 5, which is somewhere in the middle. Because we kind of want the mountain to look like it's set back a little bit. So what I do now is I take my number 5 knife and I'm going to hold it between 2 fingers and just cut across some paint. Decide where I want the highest tip of my mountain first. So I usually like mine a little more to the left, but then eventually all my paintings are going to look the same, so I'm going to probably have to change up. I want it to touch into the cloud because I want the clouds to look like they're set back more and they're kind of behind the mountain. So I take the point of the knife and I'm going to make that as the point of my mountain. And just kind of make a stroke like that, pressing down pretty hard, really pressing into the canvas. Good. Okay. So I got my 2 peaks there now. I might go a little higher at that peak just to give it a little more. Yeah. Okay. We're just going to do a 3-peak mountain. Nothing too complicated. Okay. And another one right there. Scrape away some of the excess paint. Okay. And I'm going to take that same dirty 1-inch brush that I have not washed yet. And I'm going to take the brush and just bring it up to the top of the right peak. And you're just going to push it down. There we go. Good. And then I'm going to go to the other side. We're just blending the mountain out now. As I do that, you can kind of start to see different shadows. Okay, this side. See, now you can definitely see that this peak is in front of that one. There we go. And this peak is in front of that one. Okay. Wiping off my brush. Just going to kind of blend this out a little bit. Do want a little bit of the yellow to show through because I think that kind of looks nice. A little bit of the yellow reflection from the sun on the mountain. Okay, good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make the highlights for the mountain. And I'm going to I decided that we'll have the light coming from the right. So this side's going to be the light side, and this side's going to be the dark side. So what I do is I take some white. We're going to make the dark side because we already have our white for the light side. And a little bit of phthalo blue. Yeah. Hard to mix this way. And I add a little bit of brown too, so it's not so bright. And it's pretty bright still. If you notice when I mix the paint too, I scoop it up with the knife like this, and then I flip it over like a pancake. Okay, so I'll leave it like that. We'll see what that looks like. Sometimes you don't know until you put it up there.
Hey everybody, it's Jay in the control room. I just want to say hi to Sean Studley in Oklahoma and our good friend Lori Silvestro who just joined. And
Hey, Lori.
say hi to Steve Irwin. Stay away from the Skittles.
Great. Okay, so let's start with
and
our...
Denise has paint on her chin.
Always get paint on myself. Then you know you're working hard, right? When you got paint on yourself. All right, so we're going to do the white highlight, and what you do is you smooth the paint down, spread it way down like this with the knife, and then you're going to cut across. And you get a little roll of paint like this on there. It's like a little spaghetti on the end of the knife. And we're going to start with this little one because it's the furthest one back. If you notice, I'm holding the knife with just my 2 fingers, and this one's just a guide. So it's very, very light touch, way lighter than you could even imagine. I'm barely touching this canvas as I put it on. So you bring the tip of the knife up to the top of the thing. You bring it down really light. Although I do use my finger as I go across here.
Hey Denise, Yuli Carner wants to know if this is oil or acrylic.
Oil. This is oil paint. Takes a long time to dry, a couple weeks. Don't get it on your clothes.
Also want to say hello to a very old friend, Len Spino. Good to see you joined. It's Jay. Thanks for joining. Denise is doing a great job.
Okay. So before I do this next highlight, I'm going to do that little tiny dark one on the other side. And because it's really tiny, I'm going to use this little tiny edge of the knife. And I go into my dark highlight that I made, the blue and the brown and the white, and just kind of bring it down. Again, really barely touching. Okay. And then we go back into our white, spreading it out, kind of like a frosting. Ooh, that's way too much. Okay, again, this is a little more of a linguine because I got a longer way to travel, as you can see here. Again, the little point up at the top. Bringing it down. Okay, so we want to make this mountain a little more interesting than just straight lines, so I'm going to add another little piece right here.
Big Mike, the cheese, says very nice job, Denise.
Tell him thank you. Appreciate it. Working hard up here, especially with the mountains. Okay, so that's good. Now we're gonna do this one. And just bringing it down, barely touching. Might be one more. Try to make it a little more interesting. So as you're doing it, you kind of decide where you want to keep adding strokes and adding white, and where you want to add dark. Each one might be a little different. And we'll leave it at that. Now let's do our dark. We got to use the little tiny edge again because it's really tiny in there. And just kind of. I actually think the darks are actually a little harder than the light. There you go. And now I can use so pulling it out, cut across. Little spaghetti roll of paint. And if you smear a little piece here like I did, just go back over it. And just kind of make a big mess. There you go. Okay. I'm going to do one more because I see a spot that could use some white here. There we go. And I see another. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to add some little foothills along the edge, and these are very easy to do. You're going to be actually so surprised at how easy these are. I'm going to take my dirty 1-inch brush again. Actually, I'm going to wipe my... And we're going to show you how to load it. We're going to go into the paint that we used to make the mountain and just kind of pull it down. Pull it down one side, kind of like the fan brush. Pull it down on the other side. Not too much, but enough. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to just tap along here. Just tap little foothills. Deciding where you want them. I'm going to kind of bring them across to about here. And I'm going to make it look like there's different layers by leaving a little bit of white space there. We're going to bring some up the mountain a little bit. And I'm going to take the edge of the brush and just kind of pull up. And that makes it look like little trees. And we're going to go up this way a little bit. Pull up. And you can pull up here. So now we have a couple of rows of little foothills. Okay. And we'll bring this across. You can kind of go up and down because foothills trees don't all grow one height, right? They grow different heights. So just kind of make little bumpy tops, make it really irregular. Just kind of bring it down. Doesn't matter where you end because we're going to cover that. Okay, still continuing here. Going to load the brush a little more. Okay, at the same time as I'm doing this, I'm deciding where is my water line going to be? Where's my lake going to start? So, and you decide where you want that to be. Okay, I still left little bits of line, little open spots, little open spaces, so I can make little trees. Pull up, pulling up, straight up, although they don't all grow straight up, but okay. Okay, and what you do, we're going to use these little ragged edge here at the bottom. We're going to use that to make our reflections. So you take your 1-inch brush, the dirty one, pull down, decide where you want your edge. This one, I want my lake to be curved a little bit. So I'm going to pull down, straight down. And then it's fatter, so my reflections are bigger, and then they start to get a little smaller. Straight down. It's hard to do it and be in front of the canvas here. Okay. Okay, with a clean brush though, not the dirty brush, I bring it across. So we pulled straight down, and now we're going to go straight across and make our reflections. There you go. Okay. Looks easy. So, I'm gonna find my knife. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make a little water line because we want to see where the lake starts and the land.
Denise, before you do that, you might want to keep the paint off your chin.
Take the paint. It's really bugging everybody, huh? Good. Is it off?
No.
This is actually this is the way I usually look when I'm painting. Paint is on my face. Okay, so we're going to take some white, some titanium white, a little bit of brown, So I'll take a little bit of my white, bring it over here. And we're going to put a little bit of the white medium into that. It's a thinner white. It's just thinner, but it's important. And we're going to take a little bit of brown. I like a little brown. Okay. And just kind of mix it. You don't have to mix it completely. Just kind of make it marbled. All over my hands. Okay, we're going to do the same thing as the mountain. The way you load the knife is you just kind of cut across. Okay, and you have that little roll of paint on the end. And we're just going to cut into the canvas.
Here's a shout out to Matthews, Virginia. What's up, Stabby?
Donna?
Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie. Hey. Hi, Steph. Pressing really hard on the canvas now. So the complete opposite of the mountain. Now you're pressing really hard to get that waterline. And just kind of cut across, as long as it's level. That's the key here. Okay. So what we're going to do now, so now we're going to make the foreground here. And we're going to use that same dirty brush, same paint that we used for the mountain and these foothills, loading it the same way, down and over. And we're just going to do the same stroke. We're going to tap. Just tap, decide where you want your hill to be. We're going to make a hill over here, and we're going to bring the land across over here. And that's a lot of paint. Tap it. If you got too much paint, just tap it back on the palette. And just tapping, tapping. Decide where you want your land to be. A lot of tapping. I'll do as fast as I can. We can move on to the next. I'm gonna even it out. Okay. Okay. Loading the brush. Basically, I'm just filling this in, and you could use just even strokes like this, but use a paint roller if you want. And I'll kind of show you where I'm going with it. Bring it up, 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 over like that. Okay.
Saying hi to Terry and Casey. And happy day after his birthday to Dean.
Ah, happy birthday, Dean. Now, because this part is closer, I'm going to make it a little darker. Because as things come closer to you, they get darker. And as you can see, you really don't have to. I kind of make lines, but it doesn't matter. Because it's going to get covered. Just filling it in with dark. So basically what this all is blocking it in with color. Actually, maybe what I'll do, take a bigger paintbrush. It won't take as long. Got a 2-inch brush, so it covers a little more territory. You can get through this a little faster. And I'm kind of leaning back so that you can see. Even though basically all I'm doing is just tapping the brush, tapping the brush. There's really nothing special here. Nothing special going on. Just tapping, tapping it in. Trying to fill it all in though. Don't leave too much blue. Really, almost done. And it is going to we'll get this a little more interesting as we start making our trees and our bushes and our little flowers we're going to make. And things will look a little better. We just had to block this in. Okay, good. Now we're all blocked in. We're going to take our 2-inch brush and we'll do a little bit of, let's just make a little grass in the back. So we got a little sap green and we'll throw a little brown in there. Just to throw a little color, but this is mostly going to be covered. Just tapping again, that same thing. Just kind of tapping. But you're not going to see a lot of this. Put a little. Okay, good. All right. Okay, now for the fun part. We're going to make some evergreens. We're going to put a few evergreen trees right here. All right, so we got to mix up a big pile of paint. Big pile. So we're going to use this because we use all the paint we have. And we're going to take some blue, a bunch of blue, and our black, big pile of black, some brown, big pile. We're going to use a lot of this. Mix it all together. Oh, a little bit of alizarin. A little more black. We'll take all of it. I'm taking all that. All the brown, all the alizarin, all the black. Half of blue, some sap green. A little more green. Turning it over, flipping it up, turning it over like a pancake. Because this does have to, it would help if this was all one color. All right, good. Well, we still got some blue. Takes a little while. Okay, good. Now we got our big pile of paint, as you can see. And I'm going to take my number 3 fan brush. And we're going to load this fan brush up. So you pull it down, lots of paint. Pull it down again. You can wiggle it. It puts a little more paint on there. And we're loaded. We're locked and loaded, ready to go. Okay, decide where you want your evergreens. And because we want to look like these mountains are way, way back, we want the evergreens to be big, okay, and tall. So they're going to come up way high up in the sky here. And I'm going to take my nice pointed fan brush and make a nice line here. Bringing it down. And you can bring it all the way down. It's going to come to about here. Or you're not. But, okay, again, taking the corner of the fan brush, loaded with paint. And these, we call these like little Z trees because of the way you make them. So you do one side. I'm going to do the outline of it first. And then we'll fill it in. So I'm tapping with the corner of the brush. And as you can see, now this isn't the whole tree. I'm just showing you the Z look. So I'm going from one side, tapping this way. Tapping. And so to fill it in, I would add little bits of, fill it in a little bit in the center. There we go. Okay, so tapping. There's the movement, there's the stroke. Some sides are short, some are big. As you get further down, you're going to press a little harder. Turn the brush over when you run out of paint. We got a little funny one there. That's okay. Trees don't all grow exactly the perfect and beautiful. They're beautiful, but they're not all perfect. Can't say trees aren't beautiful. Okay, reloading the brush. I didn't even get down the tree and I got to reload the brush. That's how much paint. Okay, tapping. You know what evergreen little branches look like. Just kind of giving it. This is probably the one thing that in class, when I teach the classes, people don't have trouble with this. Most everybody gets a good evergreen tree. Even though they all look different. Everybody's evergreen trees look different, but they all look like evergreen trees in the end. So, no right or wrong way. As you see, they're getting bigger and bigger as we get further down. And I'm pressing harder. I'm using the full brush as I get further down. More paint. Filling it in the center because they're pretty full in the center. All right. Let's put some, there we go. Okay, there's our first one. So now we're gonna make another one. This one's not gonna be as tall, but we'll make it close enough. Okay, and we're gonna say it's a little more in the back. It's behind this one. So starting with my Z, see my Z shape? And then we'll go back and fill it in. Okay, so there's the Z. And now I'm going to fill it. And you can try to fill this in because when evergreen trees grow together, you don't see too much spots in between. You don't see daylight much in there. It's just a big clump. So that's what we're going to do. The highlights will define the two trees. We'll leave it at that. We'll do just two. I often like to do three, but we'll do two. Two seem to fit well, so we'll keep it at that. Quit when you're ahead. All right, let's find my little knife is somewhere. Okay, so we take the number 5 knife and we're gonna make a point. Just take it and kind of scratch up because we want to make a little point. Okay, do that. And I sometimes do this. I don't always do it, but we're gonna do it today. We're gonna put little trunks in there. Sometimes I like the way they look, sometimes I don't. So I got the white, the white with the brown, little roll of paint on the end of my knife. And this I do use my left hand for. And just kind of touch the canvas in little spots. And just touch really light. Ooh, really white, really white. That's good, you'll be able to see it. Don't usually make it this white. But you do see trunks a little bit when you're looking at trees. All right, so let's move on and let's finish our grass, which, yeah, I use this one. Okay, so we're gonna take our sap green. This time we're going to go a little bit into some cad yellow because we want this grass to look a little brighter than this one. It's closer, and so we're going to make it fresher and brighter. So we got sap green and yellow. Cad yellow. Nice green. And we're just tapping. Just tapping with the... But as I'm tapping, I'm kind of going to create little hills and slopes the way I want my grass to look. So I'm going to leave little spots at times. I might go into some yellow ochre, which is this yellowy color here. And just to add a little yellow ochre, I can kind of put a little yellow ochre in there. It just gives it a little different flavor. I might add a little more yellow. So you just kind of vary it because grass isn't all one color either. Especially if your dog has been there. You know, you don't know. My dog's been there, the grass isn't all green. Okay, just tapping. And then I go back, tapping, tapping, tapping. And then I go back into my yellow to add a little bit of, let me do this with my, this with this one. I'm not liking the way that 2-inch brush is working, so I'm going to go back into, there we go. All right, but we'll use this for this. Oh, I can't do that. I keep wanting to turn to the side. Not working. Just tapping, that's all I'm doing. Anybody can do this. Just tap it in. Okay. It's okay if you make a little mistake there. Just fill it in. Okay. Add a little more yellow, a little more yellow ochre to kind of add some colors. Just to kind of give it some different color. Okay, and in the end, I might still change that and add some more stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make some nice bushes. And we're going to take this big pile of paint that I made. We're going to use that for our bushes. And how you make your bushes is you take a 1-inch landscape brush, and the brush has a lip on the end here, and you want that to be facing up. And you're going to load the brush like this. You pull down and keep pulling down. Quite a bit of paint. Not too much paint. I've had people put way too much paint on in my classes, so you can't overdo it. You can't put too much paint. But there's a fair amount of paint on there. And if you notice, the bottom has this little bend to it. That's what we want. You want that little bend. So you're going to take the little bend and turn it over. Okay, now that you have it turned over, what you're going to do is just, this has got a light touch too. You're just going to touch the canvas on that little bend and pull up. And you get these little, it's very lacy bushes. And that's kind of what it looks like. Now, because this is the dark, I'm actually going to fill in some of those holes, but when we make our highlights, that's the look we want. Okay, so I'm going to actually fill that in a little bit though. We're going to put a couple bushes here. So even though there's already dark here, I want to put the bushes in because I need that texture for the highlight to stick to. And we still have to highlight our evergreens too. So I'm going to put a couple of little bushes in here. Just give that a look. Just decide where you want your bushes. They can be anywhere you want them. Let's see. I might put a little tiny bush there. Okay, it's a lot of paint, but. And we'll put one in the front a little closer. Okay, now these don't matter if they're smushed like that. But I have you practice that stroke so that when you add your highlight, you kind of know how to do it. This one we're going to put a little bit of more of a tree-like bush. So what you do is you kind of do push up. I'll show you that stroke again, actually. So you're going to take that round end of the landscape brush, touch and push up. Touch and push up. So we're going to make kind of like a tree, a little tree bush over here. So I'm turning the brush too as I put it on there. Turn and then back up again. There you go. And I'm going to fill that in because you don't really see too much holes down there. Okay, and we'll put one right here. So each time I've practiced this painting too, I've put the bushes in different spots. Just depends what you're feeling that day. We're going to put one right here. All right, again, it doesn't matter if it's this one's smushed so much. Let's see, where else? Where else do we think we need a bush? Maybe a little tiny one right there. Little tiny one right here. Actually, the little tiny ones are a little harder. Those take a little more practice. At least they did for me. They took a little more practice. So we're going to make it not on the edge. We're going to bring it down just a tad. So it's not on the same plane as the other bushes. These are along the edge. Okay. Now we'll leave it at that. Yeah. All right. So we're done with this brush. We'll put that one back. And we've got our dirty brush. Notice I haven't cleaned the brushes yet. Isn't that great? Because when you start painting, you don't want to clean brushes much. Okay, so I take the 1-inch brush with the green, and I am going to go into some white medium, and I'm going to take the brush and just dip it in. And no, it really, for some reason, it doesn't contaminate the whole thing like you think it should. And I got the white medium on the brush, and I'll show you how I load. I'm going to load the brush the same way. I'm going to go into my sap green. This should be kind of soupy, as you see. Now, the white medium helps the paint to stick. And then I'm going to go into some yellow. Decide what kind of green you want. We're going to do a bright green today. All right. And you see I got the round. Turn it over. Now, this is where it counts. This is where those highlight counts. Let's do these first. So you go just above the bush. You're going to take this corner of the brush and go just above the brush. And you see I get these little smushed. Okay. And try again. Okay, well, we'll do a little. All right. And then we'll go a little bit into some yellow ochre. We'll vary our colors so all our bushes don't look all the same color. And I'm making that same stroke where I'm just touching and pushing up. All right. See, now I'm getting those little those little leaf looking things. And I leave some dark spots. Could probably put a little bit more there. And if it's too dark, go a little bit back into your yellow, which that looked a little too dark. It's not really showing up. Okay, let's go a little bit more white medium if you feel like it's not sticking, which it seems to not really be sticking very well. Okay. Let's go back into the green because I wanted to put some flowers on some of these. So let's make them green. So they're not really going to show until I put the flowers on.
Couple of shout outs.
Yeah.
On the street, Jim DeSeta. Our favorite PA announcer, Alan Longley. Old friend from school, Elsa Von Winkler, Jaeger. Friend from high school, Terry Dennis. My cousin Janie Corbett. Vicky Valerie from Virginia.
Vicky Valerie. Hey, Vicky.
And Dave Skoronsky.
Dave Skoronsky. Great. All right, so we're going to put some flowers on these, and then we're almost done. So what I'm going to do first, again, I need to go into my white medium. And we're going to go into the red. So I'll show you the red. So we had this red, we're saving it for that. And I'm loading it the same way, pulling down. The ridge is on the top, pulling down. I get that little bump, I turn it up. And just, this might be hard to see, just touching the top. The only part of the brush that's going to touch is the top. Okay. Thought I'd throw some flowers in just to give it a little color. Yeah. Okay. And there you go. Okay. Oh, wait, we have to highlight the evergreens. We can't forget to highlight the evergreens. Okay, so highlighting the evergreens is the same. We're taking the fan brush and going into the white medium. Any kind of highlight is usually white medium. It's easy. Oh.
Shout out to Frank, who just joined.
Okay, like
Kevin
Frank.
Roach says, shout out to the production crew. That would be Kevin Collins.
Right? Thank you, Kevin Collins. Okay, then we're going back into our different colors of greens. Greens, yellow ochre, yellow. And we're going to just the same thing, touching really lightly. The key here is don't lose all your dark. So just lightly touching. And something I would tend to do is lose my dark. I'm using a little more of the brush for the highlight. I'm not just using the corner. I use a little more of the whole brush for this one. And I'm just trying to shape now my evergreen.
Another hello to Matthews, Virginia, cousin Renee. And my favorite band leader, Jason Arnold.
Oh, great. Howdy, Jason. All right. And we're almost done. One more. So this one's in the front, this one's in the back. Probably could have done the one in the back first.
Also saying hi to Cynthia and Tone.
Ah. I'm also trying to cover the trunks a little bit. I don't want all the trunks to show that I put up there. So what I'm doing, I'm just kind of doing this kind of motion all the way down. And not too much at the bottom. If you put too much, just kind of tap it again and it'll go away. All right, I think we're done. So I hope you all had fun and thank you for joining us tonight and hope you will see you again. Thanks.